The world no longer has a choice between force and law. If civilization needs to survive, it must choose the rule of law. Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. Our topic of discussion today is the rule of law in the country. To discuss all this and more, we've invited three attorneys at law to our studios this evening. Joining us this evening on the show are DIG Attorney at Law Varuna Jayasundara, Commandant Special Task Force; Attorney at Law President's Counsel Tirantha Valadiadda; Attorney at Law President's Counsel Saraj Jayamana. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening on Face the Nation. On to my immediate right to pose questions is Ravindra Jayakuri, who's also an attorney at law. And on to my immediate left is Niresh Thambi, who's teaching law. So I'm glad with quite a lot of people who know the subject very well. So we are intending to have a wonderful discussion today with regard to the rule of law in the country and the rate of organized crimes increasing in our island nation. Let's get the ball rolling with DIG Attorney at Law Varuna Jayasundara, Commandant Special Task Force. What are your thoughts on today's context when it comes to organized crimes in the country?
Actually, organized crime, solving the organized crime is part of the police, and in a sophisticated society with world moving towards to a more sophisticated systems, crimes are part of the society. But if you look at the context in Sri Lanka, at the moment the police, especially the Police Special Task Force, is vested with the responsibility of curtailing organized crimes, illegal weapons and drugs. Now the crimes has evolved since 1960s, then into 1970s, and we faced a brutal war for 30 years. And now we are living in a post-conflict scenario, and the organized crime has become a big menace at the moment. So when we look at the pattern of the organized crimes in the country, basically we get higher percentage in the western and southern provinces. So from the STF perspective, we have focused more and put our troops into these two provinces, and especially from last year till to date, the activities of organized crime has increased, especially the killings and killing each other between the rival groups. And this is especially now pushed because that mainly they are involved with drug smuggling, and to get their demarcation with the area, and inter-party or inter-group conflicts have started, and there's a high increase of organized crime, especially in the western and southern provinces. So for the last 1 year, more than 100 shootings were reported in these two provinces. So majority are from the western province. And if you look at this issue from the socio-political and economic perspective, and ever rising the issues with humankind and cost of living, and the breakdown of rule of law has pushed the criminal groups to clash with each other for their supremacy. So for an example, if we look at the organized crime groups in the two provinces, we have identified 12 groups. And the biggest challenge that we are facing at the moment, most of their leaders are operating from overseas. So we are working very closely with Interpol, especially with our desk at the CID, to get them back to the country, but it's not going to be an easy task. Anyway, at the moment, from the STF side, I have pushed more troops into southern and western provinces. During the last, we have our Honorable Minister has set up a new committee to curtail the organized crimes in Sri Lanka under the presidency of Senior DIG Western Province, Mr. Deshbandhu Tennakon. I'm part of the committee. So I have deployed the troops from 25th of June, and since then there are like only 3 shootings in the southern province and a couple of in the western province. So we are on the move with the police of arresting and curtailing organized crimes as well as drugs. And we have focused more into illegal weapons. Unless and until that we are going to get more weapons circulated among the groups, we are going to have more problems. So police along with the STF, we are very much into the organized crimes, drugs and curtailing the illegal weapons. So we are on a positive side, and with more strength and power, we are going to curtail it.
Very quickly, DRG Jaswandra, to get us some clarity, what is the role of the STF?
STF, the unit has been started way back in 1983 as a counter-insurgency, counter-warfare unit. It is part of the police, started in 1983. There were like 60 hand-picked police officers selected to start the STF 1st of March 1983. There were a couple of reasons for the then government to form the STF. One reason was the insurgency in 1971. Then the uprising of Tamil youth in 1976, especially they have assassinated the former Jaffna mayor, Mr. Dorayappa. Then they went on to rob banks and killing police officers, especially Tamil speaking police officers in the northern province. Then it came to 1983. In July, they blasted an army truck. With that, they started attacking police stations. So after 1971 in the insurgency, the government has set up a commission, and they had one recommendation to have a specialized police unit within the police. So that was the starting point for the STF. And initially we were trained by the army, then we were lucky to get the British SAS way back in 1984, and along with the three Ilam wars, we were basically dominating in Batticaloa and Ampara districts, involved with counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations, and protecting the nation and the national security of the country. Then it came with the conclusion of the war in 2009. We are in a post-conflict scenario, and I have 74 bases throughout the country. We are vested with the responsibility of protecting the national security, but at the moment we are assisting the police. There are 607 police stations island-wide, so we are assisting the police in maintaining law and order. Right. Other than that only, now the current context, we are basically vested with specially curtailing organized crimes, weapons, illegal weapons and drugs.
Right. Thank you very much, DIG, Attorney at Law, Varun Jaswandra, Commandant of the Special Task Force, for joining us this evening on the show and giving your thoughts on the first round. I now move my attention towards President's Counsel, Mr. Tirantha Veldiyadda. What are your thoughts on our topic today?
My learned friend, the DIG, has given a framework of the operations and what units are available and what is being done. You see, I would go a little beyond that, right? And ask you, right, what is the result? There are committees within committees, roundabout committees, committees over committees, committees under committees, right? What is the net result? There is an increase in crime. An increase in crime in the sense, I am not blaming the police, right? I will tell you whose fault it is. Increase in the sense, it is increasing gallops. You know, people are coming out to the streets, looking at the CCTV camera and shooting and waving goodbye and going off. I mean, they don't just care, no? Right? But that is what is happening here. Now, what I am asking is this, now the DIG has stated how many units there are, and if you take the practical situation, you will find these police officers going behind this organized crime or whatever crime, right? To my mind, crime is crime, organized or disorganized, right? And this organized crime is a fashionable name given to basic thugs and their works, you know. It's the fashion.
What's the difference?
There is no difference. Crime, you murder somebody, the organized crime is murder. You go to the grassroots, you know. If you commit a fraud, it's a fraud. Whether it's a computer fraud or cyber fraud or whatever, it is a fraud that is dealt under the penal code. You give fashionable names, you know, and call it cyber crimes, etc. But basically, it's a common thief who is doing this, right? That is what you must identify. There is nothing so fantastic about these things, right? They should be prosecuted like common thieves, nothing else, you see. Anyway, you see now these people, police, they risk their lives, right? Get shot, right? Get injured, and go and arrest somebody and drag him by his heels and come back, right? What happens at the end of it? What happens at the end of it? My learned friend was in the department, I was in the department, we have been prosecutors, right? What is happening now, even then? Now, the police will file their cases. Right? Then they will send the files to the Attorney General for advice or indictment. The Attorney General will indict. The Attorney General will do his duty and he will indict the suspects in court of murder, fraud, organized crime or whatever you call it. The indictment will go out. Right? Then the judiciary will take over. They will hear the case. Maybe for a couple of years they will hear the case. Then let us assume it's a capital offence case, murder or drug trafficking, right? The court finds him guilty, sentence him to death. He appeals to the Court of Appeal, dismissed. He appeals to Supreme Court, dismissed. The sentence is affirmed. What happens then? Thereafter, what happens? This is where the problem is. Thereafter, all these people's efforts, their risk to life and limb, all go down the river, because then what happens is we put them in the dead cells and look after them, nurture them, and give them human rights, fundamental rights, this right, that right, all these rights are given to these people who are convicted killers who will be sentenced to death, right? And then the human right. Now I saw today this Human Rights Commission, the UN Human Rights Commission, has issued a statement saying that Sri Lanka must take great leaps and bounds to enhance the human rights situation in this country, right? Now you see, everybody is worried about the human rights of the convicted drug trafficker who will be sentenced to death, right? Now you bring ash, now there's ash, then you bring ice, right? You give ice to a school child of 12 years old, by the time he's 14, he's finished, he's a lunatic, and he's virtually brain dead, right? You can check with your doctors, right? And you get this, now ice is the popular thing, no? Because apparently ice is far more deadly than heroin, because when you give ice and get him high, you tell him to do something, he will do it. That is why these people go in front of everybody, in front of the camera, and shoot everybody, you know what I mean? Leave that aside. Now, then they get their human rights. If anybody goes and says anything nasty to the convicted murderer who is sentenced to death, then the UN Human Rights Commission start bawling and caroling and say Sri Lanka has no human rights, you know what I mean? Right? What about the human rights of the children who they are destroying?
What do you suggest, Mr. Aruleda? Are you saying that capital punishment should be imposed in Sri Lanka once again?
I've been saying this for the past 10 years. You see, let us see. We have tried suspended sentences. We have tried rehabilitations. We have tried counseling. We have, at one point, I think 2 years ago, there was religion. Doctrines were preached to these people, right? Everything failed, no? Everything failed. Crime increased at an alarming rate, and then it came to a situation where the school children aged 12 to 14 were also being introduced to this type of deadly drug.
No, but since 23rd of June 1976, no executions have taken place in Sri Lanka.
Right. That is what happened. You see, that is what happened. No execution took place, and now these people, these drug traffickers, know that they can do anything they want. Then they will go back into they will be put into a dead cell,
right?
And from there, they will do all the better criminal activities. From there.
So we'll talk. We'll discuss more, Mr. Aruleda, when we come to the second round when we pose questions.
Right.
So I'll just quickly.
I'll answer your question.
Yeah.
They should be executed. I will tell you I will tell you the procedure for it, not this procedure. I will tell you how it should be done, so that this trafficking will stop within 6 months. 6 months.
Right. We'll come to that, Mr. Aruleda, shortly. I now move my attention towards Prisons Counsel, Mr. Sarath Jayaman. Your thoughts on today's topic?
Yes, it is a very timely topic. Rule of law. Everyone must feel confident to live in a society that the law will be abided by. Now, we give our mandate to the members of the parliament and to the executive. It is the duty of the executive to protect its sovereigns. So, therefore, it is the duty of the state to prevent crime being occurred, then to conduct investigation, and thereafter conduct prosecutions. Whether organized or otherwise, it is the duty of the investigators to prevent crimes. Now, what are the problems associated with difficulty in preventing or arresting people? Now, we cannot go along with the traditional way of investigating, because this is an era where high technology is there. So, therefore, we have to conduct first criminological research like other countries like UK, US and even Australia, and find out what are the best ways. One of the method is we have to minimize the opportunities to commit crimes. How do you minimize the opportunities? For example, if it is drug trafficking, if it is a killing or other things, now we have to plan it out. How best we collect the intelligence from the underground or underworld people. We have to have a covert operatives. So have you used intelligence? So I'm not sure the police they are getting real information about the network of these organized criminals. So therefore, it is a professional job. So you have to professionally plan out rather than investigating into ordinary murder case. You have to look into the network, and we have to have an intelligence service, and then you have to sometimes at risk send your own people to the network at high risk. That is what even UK and US they do. So therefore, once you go there, you will understand for what purpose you commit these crimes, maybe for drugs, maybe for weapons, maybe for extortion and other reasons. So therefore, what is most important thing is you have to use your CCTV cameras. You have to use your telephone analysis. Then what about the bugging devices? Then what about tapping the telephone conversations? Those tools should be given. If it is not available in the present legal framework, we must amend the law and give that power. Maybe under the supervision of the court, the investigators should be given that powers. Then we have to have elite investigators to look into these particular aspects. So my first response to this is we have to do a criminological research and find out what are the causes and minimize the opportunities to commit these type of crimes, and find out, get more intelligence, and you have to have a onslaught on these people.
Mr. Jaiman, you speak about technology being used to nab and stop crimes in Sri Lanka. What sort of tools can we use? Because we know for a fact that in 1986, how the DNA was proved in courts with regard to the Alec Jeffrey's case of the rape that we always talk about when we speak about DNA testing. What are your thoughts on using technological tools to nab crimes in a country like Sri Lanka?
As a person who was involved into somewhat in introducing the DNA science here in 2000 for Kandara case, thereafter where my learned friend opposed in Mr. Sarath Abeypitiya's case, we first time introduced telephone analysis evidence in this country. So likewise now you have the CCTV, then you have the GPS.
No, but the problem is, Mr. Jaiman, now CCTV, we see a lot of organized crimes taking place. We see on media individuals coming, as Mr. Valreda said, coming, shooting, and then waving goodbye and then leaving
that is
the premises as well.
where our police department, they must use their intelligence people at a central location. The moment you detect these things, you must quickly send their teams. So you have to identify the areas. If it is Western province, not each and every place that you have it is bound to commit these crimes. No, that is why you have to identify the areas, the places, and the type of the people from which environment they come. So then you have to earmark those places and monitor, at least for a few months monitor, maybe have a central team somewhere located someplace, maybe other teams must be in the field. So if you do that at least for 3-4 months, the moment something happens, the police team should not go from the headquarters. They must be in the field. Just imagine, now on Fridays, people know that police are there on the streets in the night. So how many people when they go for parties, now they don't drink. So on the other hand,
No, they drink, but they take cabs.
that's fine. So now on the way, when you go to Anuradhapura, close to Kakirava, there are some statues, of the police officers. The moment you see from far away, you think that's a genuine police officer. So you slow down, but it is only statue. Thereafter, if you find a genuine police officer standing, so then likewise, you have to create a few psychosis, the availability of the police. Now the problem is, with all due respect to the police officers, the people know after committing a crime, by the time police come, it is too late in the day. So therefore, we know while the CCTV camera is on, these things are happening. So therefore, we must have a system that police should go to those places quickly. Then on the other hand, there must be civil operatives, not in police uniform, not in the entire island, but they have to identify areas depending on the intelligence they receive.
Right.
So I think what I say is basically it is through their professional work, through the intelligence. Because in the good olden days, the famous cases and other things, during that time we never had any intelligence, we never had a technology. But here is a time we have a technology. Right. Not only that, in the people of this country must be given the education how best they should complain to the police no sooner they see something.
Right. Thank you very much, President's Counsel, Mr. Saraj Jaiman, for your thoughts in the first round. Again, you can also join in the conversation. The number to send your WhatsApp messages is 076 656 5353. The number once again, 076 656 5353. Onto my immediate right is Ravindu, attorney at law. On to my immediate left is Niresh, who is a consultant English news director at Newsfirst as well. So both of them are flanked and are ready to pose questions. Shall we start off with Ravindu for a change today?
Certainly,
Niresh?
yes.
Well, yes, thank you, Shamir. My first question goes to DIG Jayasundara. Now, DIG Jayasundara, President's Counsel Jayaman said in his opening remarks that there are a lot of advancement in respect to technologies that the police should make. Right now, as a department, what are the investments have you all made on these technological advancements? Have you all adopted new technologies, or what investments are you all planning to make to prevent these crimes?
It's a good question. Actually, now as the sir has mentioned, one good thing that came up with our system is having scene of crime officers with the assistance from Scotland Yard Police and from the Sweden Police. So during the early days, it was the ordinary police officers who went to the scene and collected evidence. Then the prosecution, the investigation moves on. But any crime scene, now every division, there is a specialized scene of crime officers unit where we get their assistance. Whatever the crime, they are the first to come and they preserve the scene, the crime scene, and they goes on to collect evidence even for the DNA testing. So that is one good thing what we are having at the moment. Then with the technology, now we got the facility of getting the phone analysis. That is, the most of the crimes are connected with communication, and it goes through the telephone and the service providers.
I don't think you can find a crime where...
But let me finish. But at the moment, then we went on with the phone analysis, and now they are using WhatsApp and all the web tools and the social media tools that they have. It has become a problem because now we can't intercept WhatsApp, but up to some level we can do analysis. And the other thing, now we are into digital forensic analysis. For that, the CID, so especially into computer crimes. And we have sent our officers overseas, and we are got some assistance and with the new systems to analyze the phone. If you get a phone number, for an example, once I got a number with 28,000 telephone calls. So manually if you do it, it's not possible. So there are certain tools used by all other law enforcement officers that facility is with us, with the CID, and with the DNA testing, and our officers are trained with collecting them, and even with audio visuals. Now everywhere now the best tool that we get is the CCTV, the footages, but there are issues with the CCTV footages because it has to be within 9 feet, but unluckily, like most of the CCTVs along the roads are very much higher, because people are not scared of robbing the houses, but someone taking the CCTV away. So people are not aware. So most of the, if you go to the streets, the CCTVs are far away from the good visuals. And the other thing is, we don't have the expert people of fixing CCTVs. You go to a shop and you ask for a CCTV, a person who can do wiring will come and fix the CCTV, and that person's CCTV is basically focused with his entrance and nothing covered with the outdoor where normal the crimes are taking place. But if you go to London city, it's covered by 2.9 million 9 million cameras. So, and with our requirements, if we see policing in the new context, we have to get equipments like lie detectors and lie detectors. There are, you know, which is fixed to the body, and you keep asking certain questions, and the machine, and then it with, if you are lying, you know, it change your heartbeat, and by looking at your eyes, there are certain detectors where the changes of your body, you know, body moves. There are certain.
But such lie detectors cannot be used in a court of law, can it?
Yes.
Even at least for the investigators now, initially even for intelligence agencies, where in our covert operations, we have to get those things. And you know, under Torch Act now, we have been restricted with the rights of the perpetrators, you know. There's a very strong act which stand against us, 1994 if I am correct. We have ratified and signed the Torture Convention, and there's a thing called Torture Act, an inhuman and degrading treatment which has been enshrined even in our constitution. So in par with these restrictions and challenges, moving with the technology is a must. Otherwise, we are not going to win the war.
You said, DIG Jaswindra, in your opening remarks, that you all have identified 12 groups that are operating relating to organized crimes in the country, and most of the group leaders are overseas.
Yeah, that is, there are more groups, but at the moment which are more active, and like 5 groups in the southern province and 12 in the western province.
So
And
altogether, let's say 17 groups
17,
operating.
those are the groups we are, from my side as the Commandant STF.
So have you all identified the masterminds behind these
Yeah,
groups?
of course. All are identified. Even now, during the last 3 months, there were 31 shootings carried out by the organized crime groups. There we have arrested 9 shooters, STF well as the police, and 2 got killed in confrontation. And 1 we have identified and we have to arrest. So actually now the pattern is such, when you look at the nature of the killings, it's between among the groups, and it's because due to the drug business, and there are certain areas and they are fighting for supremacy. And when we analyze each and every case, there is a rivalry, and one group go and kill the person in X area within a week.
My question is, DIG, now you all have identified 17 groups.
Yes.
So why cannot you tackle these 17 groups and ensure that these 17 groups, individuals who are in Sri Lanka, are arrested and are brought before the law?
No. Now, from the STF side, we have arrested 85 and 9 got killed in confrontation. And from the police, there are more. And if we go one by one, I have the statistics, and each and every case, we have arrested either the shooter or the rider of the motor bicycle or the handler or even the people who have helped that. For an example, the last shooting on last 15th in Kudavalla, the STF, we arrested the entire team, but organized by a person in Dubai. That is not possible, but they are under now. If you go one by one with the shootings, one of them in the group has been identified. Now, if you take the last shooting in Thalangama area, the person, the rider of the shooting who ride the bicycle, has gone abroad, and when he was coming, we have arrested him at the BIA by the police. But now we are in the manhunt for the shooter. There are a couple of guys now, other than the people we arrested, we have to arrest them. And other thing is, so it is not like 17 groups are operating and it's visual and we are not arresting. It is such that whatever and whoever it's there connected with the crime, we are not allowing them to stay out, we go and arrest them. Only thing is, now then you will ask why then it's continuing. The fact is such, it's not now, they are not having their operatives by name. The person who's the big people are in Dubai, so they are just running their drug business from the street level, and the people get arrested, go and come back, as the sir has said. Basically, they are going to get bail. They come back and again they do the business. Again they get arrested, they go back. There are, if you take an individual, there are many high court cases pending, but under the Bail Act they get bail. So that is one issue. Right. And the other thing, now one, the pattern with the current the killing spree is, for 1 lakh or 1.5 lakhs, they can easily hire someone. Maybe especially now there are quite high number of military people who are out there.
So you are saying 100,000 to 150,000 is enough for someone to go and kill another person?
Yes. Now if you take the particular incident where the bicycle, the rider and a shooter went to Kudavalla area on 15th August. They shot and ran away, but we were arrested. When we arrested the shooter, he's a serving Navy personnel and he got 400,000 for the shooting and the rider got 400,000. So altogether, within 8 lakhs, they did the contract. Everything is involved with money.
Right. So, Mr. Valle, just to get on to what you were saying earlier with regard to, you said, I will tell you how the execution should take place. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. Let Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe, His Excellency the President, right, issue a gazette notification tomorrow, next week, issue a gazette next week to the effect that all those who are convicted of drug trafficking or organized murder, these Patala type of murders, if they are convicted before a jury of 12, right, and their appeal is dismissed by a bench of 5 in the Supreme Court, right, and the sentence of death is affirmed, that they will be hanged within 2 weeks. That is the only way to stop this.
But even President Maithripala Sirisena,
that is what I was just about to tell you. Maithripala Sirisena said that he has elected 19 people just before the elections, right? Okay, and that we are going to, and he has selected 3 to hang, and he said he will hang, he will hang, he will hang, he swore that he will hang. Then the Supreme Court stopped him because they asked him, how did you make this election? Valid question, no? You don't draw it out of a hat, no? Right? These are all election stunts, no.
Principal?
But
Yes, well, now are you suggesting that the crime rate was under control when the capital punishment was
you know
implemented
these
before
people, no,
1976?
we for these fellows, no, right? They don't mind getting shot, but they don't want to get hanged. Understand what I'm saying?
So was it
You see, what
controlled
I'm
before
trying to
that?
tell you is this: if people don't fear, if people don't respect the law, the people don't respect the law, they must be made to fear the law. That is the way to stop this. Not with the CCTV camera; those are good for high international crime investigation. But here, you see a drug trafficker, right, bringing 70, 80 kilograms of drugs, sitting on the drugs, sitting on it, and he's caught, right? According to what the police say, he is caught sitting on the drugs. It is sent to the analyst. It is said it is heroin, right? It will not take 2 weeks to finish the trial. It won't take 2 weeks. But what I am saying is this: let it be all capital offences of this nature to be tried by a jury of 12, like the American system. The acceptable verdict will be 10 to 2, right? That will be acceptable. And the appeal will be automatically sent to the Supreme Court to a bench of 5. If the Supreme Court decides that the conviction is valid and the sentence is affirmed, then the next thing is for the president to sign the death warrant that will be hanged in the next 2 weeks. I will tell you, within 6 months, this whole business will stop. Because you see, even the people outside, even the people who are operating from Dubai, they will have a problem because there will be no traffickers to be found here.
Mr. Valad, you said something very interesting in your remarks. You said, I appear for them, they don't mind being shot, but they don't want to be hanged. What does that mean?
You see, when we appear for these people, these doctors, we appear for these drug traffickers. No, you see, it is our business. It is my profession. It is my duty as a counsel for the defense to show the deficiencies in the prosecution's case, right? And that is what the High Court judge or the judge expects from a defense counsel. Tell me where the prosecution has failed, and we do that. And then, especially Mr. Javan, I don't want to tangle with him in the prosecution. He's a dangerous prosecutor, you know, right? He will show the plus points, I will show the minus points, and then the judge will decide. That it is the duty of the defense counsel to show the judge what. That is why you appear for these people, right? But after all that, if the judge decides no, he is guilty and he is convicted, the response just follow. You know what I mean? Because when we talk to the Sama, you see, many of them claim that they have been framed by the police when they come, right? With my respects to my friend here.
Now, we had Minister Vijayasa Rajapaksa on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he said that the police are corrupt.
Yeah, that is a different issue, right? Don't blame everything on the police, because you see, now I don't think you want me to get tangled in the Devan now, no? Otherwise, I might say certain things that, you know, right? So let us not go into that. Don't blame everything on the police corruption, right? Ask them why they are not carrying out these sentences. What is the big problem, right? If he is convicted, and he's sentenced to death, he is a curse to society, you know. He has ruined the children, who have ruined our life, he has ruined the fabric of our society by bringing this type of dangerous drugs. Why are we spending millions to look after these people?
So, dear Jayasundara, does that happen in the prisons? As claimed by Mr. Valyad, you're sentenced and found guilty of a person who has brought drugs or who has raped or who has killed someone, and then at the prisons you start nurturing them, looking after them.
I do agree actually that prison does not nurture, but the reality is such. Now I'll give you a good example. If you take any guy who's operating from overseas. Now I know one guy who murdered the doctor at Karandini way back in 2012. So he has been arrested by the CID and he was in remand custody, but he has been bailed out. After that he went on killing 6 to 7 people, again arrested, he was in remand and bailed out. Then again he came out and kept killing people, and again went and he was in our custody in Booster for the last time. So he was there for 2 or 3 years, then he came out. Then again he went his killing spree, and he found that we are behind him. He cancelled his bail and went inside. the best example.
It's like a
Then,
safe house.
yes. Then from there, he found a moment, he came out in a fake passport, he went to Dubai. Now he is operating from overseas. So like that, another guy who was in Booster in our custody, you know Booster high security prison, the outer perimeter security and the search is done by the STF. Why the search? There are allegations that they are operating mobile phones from the prison itself. Then the President Secretary of Defense took a decision to make the Booster as a high security prison. So there are separate 50 cells where we keep identified hardcore organized criminals there, and they use the jammers where they can't use mobile phones. But that facility is not in other prisons. So one major obstacle problem that we are facing, as Sir has rightly said, that we arrest them and automatically they get remanded, but then they start operating from inside. So Booster is an exceptional case where we keep the most high
High-profile cases.
yeah, high risk and most wanted people inside. But when it comes to other prisons, they operate mobile phones.
So there has been instances, DIG Jayasundara, where even cats have been used to send drugs into prisons. I saw recent articles published in the papers a few months ago, which says that even cats were used by organized criminals to send drugs inside the prisons. So it seems like the prisons are a safe haven for all these people to nourish and thrive in their business.
That justifies what has said, because now in other countries, the prosecution, the arresting, the investigation, prosecution and conviction, the process is very fast. So now that particular person, now he got 3 or 4 opportunities to go inside and come back. But then there's a saying, no, justice delayed is justice undone. So what I believe is that from the start to the end, we have to speed up the process. Then the criminals will get punished. Otherwise, they go
What
to...
is the point of even the criminals getting punished if capital punishment is not imposed?
Yeah, I do agree with that now. I was in Singapore in last...
So because D.I. Jayasundara, you say that inside prisons, the prisoners are being nourished and they thrive in their business, and then you say they are being punished, but they are still being nurtured inside the prison. So what is the point of having that if the capital punishment is not imposed?
But if you look at the conviction rate in the country, it's very minimal. And say there are 100 crimes committed, and we have to check how many have been arrested and how many have been prosecuted properly and convicted. So the thing is, it takes a long duration. So the criminals, they get the time to get bail out, and they operate from here or from overseas. And the biggest problem is there are more than 25 the hardcore criminals who are operating from overseas. And the other thing is, I do agree, if we can clearly see fast track investigation, prosecution and conviction, of course the unwanted people will be taken out from the society.
Ms. Jaman, I want to drag your attention to drug kingpins being killed under police custody. One of the classic examples was on the 21st of October 2020, the shooting and killing of drug kingpin Markandari Madhush. What are your thoughts on situations like this? Because
we have to...
Do you think that these are justifiable acts in the eyes of the general public who think that they are a menace? In the event the law and order cannot meet justice, then the police could take the justice to their own hands.
we have to unreservedly condemn drug trafficking in this country. But that does not mean when a person is arrested on suspicion, the law enforcement agencies should be given power to kill them. I think we should not do, then there won't be a rule of law. What is best is, we have to be very creative. When we introduced DNA technology in 2000, no one thought of it. When Mr. Ambedkar was killed, there was no evidence at all. So we invented telephone analysis. So then thereafter you get all this GPS technology. So now almost 20 years have gone. So then what are we doing? So we have to invent something. Always when a criminal comes to a crime scene, they will leave some trace there. Not only that they leave, they will take some traces from the crime scene with them. So that reality, that cannot be changed. So therefore, even if the CCTV is not there, people in this country, they are armed with mobile phones. Only thing is, you have to be trustworthy. Police force must win the confidence of the people, then only they will give the information. Then only they will send their mobile recording. To that extent, we have to win the confidence. Especially when it comes to drug cases. Last year case, there was a trial in Colombo High Court. A foreign lady was involved. She was accused. During the course of the trial, it revealed that the chief investigating officer, he claims this detection happened in front of a restaurant in Vellavat, right? But the telephone analysis showed on this particular day, this inspector was never there in Vellavat. So therefore, what is the confidence that these narcotic officers always arrest the real person? So what is their prosecution has to prove? What is the role of the defense? Defense, the role is to say, there is a doubt in the prosecution case. How do you create a doubt? Because their evidence does not tally with the DNA evidence. The evidence does not tally with the telephone analysis. The evidence does not tally with the GPS technology. So therefore, always prosecution has to be, they should be ahead of the criminals. That's the main thing.
Now, Mr. Jayaman, crime does not exist in a vacuum.
Yes.
It's a reflection of a breakdown in society.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that? Now, Sri Lankan society has broken down in many ways.
Yes.
The government declared bankruptcy, we had huge issues of shortages of everything last year, and people are still struggling because economically it's been a total breakdown. Our economy is continuing to contract, which means people don't have jobs and so on. So is this also a governance problem which is being reflected in the crime statistics?
I will respond. If you take the statistics for the year 2022, out of 37,000 crimes, house break-in was 8,645, drug-related crimes again 8,000, then theft 5,000, then robbery 3,000. So if you see, majority of the crimes are house breaking. So why people, they go into the house in the night and do trespass? Why? To commit various offences. So therefore, these are the things the local police must be fully aware. Even the people must be told how to protect their properties. Police cannot come for each and everything, but in a given area, they know who these criminals are. So they have to have more surveillance. Coming back to your general question, there are so many causes for the crimes in a particular country. That is why we need a criminological research conducted by various agencies, and they must set their policy according to that research outcome. One such reason to me, every time maybe we show all these TV footage, maybe through the media, how the crimes have happened. How best that would solve the crime problem in this country? Maybe some people might get undue publicity. They are given various other names. When those names are given high publicity, what is the message that we are conveying to the younger generation in this society? On the other hand, when it is a child abuse case or it is a sexual abuse case, sometimes we directly or indirectly divulge the identity of the victim. And it is a criminal offence under the penal code, under 1995 amendment. Divulging the identity of the victim or witness is a criminal offence. So therefore, we don't take action. So therefore, what is most important thing is we have to protect the victim and witnesses. Then we have to be very creative in our investigations and find out the new avenues. When we first introduced SOCO, scene of crime investigation, it was very successful. But we can't thereafter lie low. We have to come out with new technologies. If DIG says now they use WhatsApp, maybe, but on the other hand, the people on the streets, they have the mobile phones.
So I just want to piggyback on what Niresh said with regard to the society at large. I want to drag your attention to the Global Organized Crime Index that was issued several months ago, that is on the 5th of May 2023. It says Sri Lanka's political and economic crisis has had a broad destabilization effect on the country, with challenges to food security and law and order in particular. And it goes on to say, it also shaped organized criminal activity. Sri Lanka experienced a surge in serious and organized crimes in 2022, a year that saw much political unrest and civilian uprising. According to police data, grave crimes increased by 60% month on month during 2022. So do you think, Mr. Jayaman, that last year Sri Lanka declaring bankruptcy, the acute food shortage, the blackouts that was experienced, all that may have led to organized crimes increasing in the country as suggested by the Global Organized Crime
I am
Index?
not sure what the evidence they had to come to this conclusion. On the face of it, even an average person would come to that conclusion. But there has to be a scientific research and find out whether those so-called people, so-called criminals committed those crimes as a result of that they didn't have a necessary food or other things. There may have been instances of when the general public go and assault other people, commit robberies. But whether you can implicate, you can make a linkage between the high crime rate and the economic situation in the last year, I'm not sure.
Then what is the reason?
There may be, we have to professionally upgrade our law enforcement.
There can only be two reasons to
Yes.
Mr. Jayaman, either the crisis that happened last year or a complete breakdown of the police.
I won't
in the
say a
country.
complete breakdown. There seems to be a certain the lackadaisical approach on the part of the investigators, because the police investigators.
So when you say investigators, do you think the Attorney General's department also plays a role here?
And Attorney General comes by way of giving advice, no? Because if there's a complicated investigation, only the police will consult the Attorney General. Like in Hokandara case, like in Sarattambai PTS case, High Court, then when there is a serious issue, they will get the legal advice as to how new form of investigation should be conducted.
So-
Otherwise, legally, Attorney General has no legal power to conduct investigation, give direction.
So DIG Jayasundara, based on what Mr. Jayaman is saying with regard to a lackluster approach by the police department in doing their investigation.
No, I don't say as a police department, they have to be creative, they have to be inventive.
Yeah, this is what you said before.
Yes,
Yeah.
because those who are at the investigation arms, they have to be energetic, they have to be
But then,
passionate.
also, Mr. Jayaman,
So Jayasundara, based on what Mr. Jayaman is saying, isn't the police creative? Isn't the police innovative in doing these investigations?
Actually, now we have to be innovative, because one crime is always different to another. Now, if I say 100 shootings, all 100 shootings are different. So, but I strongly say, out of all the killings, there are no way that nowhere no one was arrested. But the thing is, the crimes are becoming more sophisticated. So, as Sir has said, we have to be more creative. We are creative, but the thing is, it is the change of methods and their frequency is high that we have to accept. And now we have to put more strength into our system, our investigations, to overpower them. And now it was not like early days. Now Sir has said about Hokandara murder case, Sarattambai PTA case. Now every day there is a high crime and high crimes are taking place, killings are taking place. So the thing is, when police is moving into one investigation, next day there are going to be another one. And there are socio-economic factors which has contributed for the high crime rates. Now, as you rightly said, last year the people, they had a lot of economic issues even at the moment, and the law and order system was challenged, the administration, the governance was challenged, and the fear factor and the respect that the people they had, it has come down. Even that has contributed for the organized criminals, and we were in a very good position of curtailing organized crimes. Once in a while there was a crime, but we managed to curtail it
But do you
off.
think, DIG Jayasundara, the people have lost respect on the police force in the country?
Actually, any part of the world, the police, our work has been challenged, because if you take, say, 100,000 people come into a police station, more than 50% are not happy with the outcome, because in a police complaint you get the complainant and the respondent. So for an example, if there's a land issue, the person come to the police, nowhere the people goes to a police station for relaxation, they go with a problem. So everyone expects something good, but there's no win-win situation. I'm just talking from the mathematics perspective. A person goes with a complaint and there's a respondent. So the police, we do the investigation in a small matter, then one side get the solution, but then the other party is not happy. So always the half of the people who are coming to the police are not happy with our answers. I know in the South Asian and the Sri Lankan context, people, they tend to believe even before going to the police station, they want to talk to a police officer and go there, because they are not confident. And the other thing is that person who's going there always want the win for his side. That is not possible, because in an inquiry, one party will win, the other party loses. So that is one thing, that the people, they have lost the confidence, and the other thing, the perception that we have to put more into our professionalism to win the hearts and minds of the people.
Now, DIG Jayasundara, let me ask you, where are the guns coming from? And we live in a country where you cannot legally purchase or own a gun. And I'm asking this in the context that last week there was a news item that over 100 members of parliament from the 1980s have not returned the weapons that were issued to them. So is there some correlation there? Where are these guns coming from?
No, actually now when we look at the illegal crimes, part of the STF task, actually we had a brutal war for 30 years. So LTT, they were the second deadliest terror organization. They had all sort of weapons, and they were defeated in 2009. So there was a tendency that those weapons, part of them was smuggled into southern part of the country. And recent trend we have identified, that is with the drugs, they are sending weapons. One classic example, when I was the DIG in charge of Western Province North, I arrested 190 kilos of heroin from Panadura. With that we found 10 pistols. It was a classic example where they, with every quantity, they send weapons. And the Indian authorities, they arrested a Sri Lankan boat, and now they are in Indian custody. It was with 300 kilos of heroin and 6 AK-47 rifles and 2 pistols. So just imagine, they are sending drugs along with weapons. So with say 25 kilos, they give a pistol for everyone, for the separate groups, and they create the problem. And the next load, they reduce the quantity. Then they are fighting for heroin. So there are two ways that we are prevalence of weapons, basically due to the conflict, the weapons which has come down to the southern part of the country, and the weapons which are coming along the sea routes along with drugs. And with my organization, for the last 3 years, we have arrested 35 T-56 weapons, just imagine, 58 automatic pistols, and you are right, we are not manufacturing automatic weapons in Sri Lanka. So it has to come from outside. So we have to go with a very strong push to curtail and arrest these illegal weapons.
So most
And-
often than not, dear Jayasundara, deserters from the security forces are involved in these organized crimes that are taking place.
Yes.
So don't you think that these deserters are carrying weapons from the military to carry out these organized crimes?
Actually, now when we look at the past shootings, always it was not the shooter carrying the weapon. They are doing a contract. The particular organized criminals, they have weapons. So they bring the weapon from one party and they get the contracted killer and a person to go with the shooter. So that is how it works. So now it has come to a level, now we arrest the entire team. The shooter doesn't know when he's going to get the weapon. He just get the contract to do the shoot for say 200,000 rupees. And on a particular day, he'll be asked to come to a particular place and a motorbike will come. He will get into the motorbike and he doesn't know who is the rider. You you see it on the footages on the news. You see that they are wearing full face helmets and mask, everything, where identification among them has been prohibited. And while they go, another person comes and give the weapon, do the shoot, within 5 minutes take the weapon and go. That is it. So it has become very difficult. It's not like two persons come together with a weapon and they go. Then obviously they are going to get arrested when we arrest one person. So it is the shooter comes from one side, then the rider comes from the other side, then they get the weapon, do it, leave it and go.
Mr. Varadha, when DIG Jayasundara speaks about how these crimes are taking place, jitters are running down my spine.
It's like
I am
war,
getting-
isn't it?
I am getting goosebumps right now as he speaks, thinking, are we living in a country that is not safe at all?
We are.
So what must we do? This is quite alarming. Tomorrow,
Then tell
when
the
I am
tell
walking
the
on
tell
road,
the
someone
tell
will
the
come and,
executive tell the executive
kill
to
me.
do their jobs and finish the case and finish all these criminals in the legal way. What is now we have had these observations. It's a very pretty picture of investigations and digitalization and monetization and Interpol, etc., 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 etc. You catch a fellow with a 10 kilograms of drugs in his house or sitting on it or in a three-wheeler. It won't take 5 witnesses to prove the case. You know what I mean?
But then President was aware that it's most of the time the people who get caught with this drug, they are not actually the drug lords,
No.
not the main man.
We can get the main man later, at least deal with the people who are doing it in this country. You can get to Mahamola business is fine. While that is happening, the little mollahs are working here and killing this whole society. Finish the people who are there. Once you do that, I will tell you the Mahamola Karuas will have no people here to work for them. They will not accept it because they know that. That is why I said. That is what I said. The president must say from this day onwards, so that as it is, the people have already been convicted. There may be a few Sunday fellows who may not be, this way that day may not be, maybe even innocent. You can never say, right? But from this day onwards, those people who are convicted and sentenced to death on trafficking and organized murder, after the by jury trial, after the Supreme Court dismisses, within the next 2 weeks, the president must sign the death warrant and execute them. That is the only way to stop this. We can have this discussion, we can talk nicely, we can talk about all the DNAs, the Interpols and all these machinery, the lie detector. In those days there was no need of a lie detector. No. The police sergeant can within 5 minutes get the truth out of the man. There was no lie detector, right? And the crime was solved, right? It's a different matter, it's a different subject. But what I am telling you is, this is the fault is that of the executive. That the executive is the law enforcement authorities. Don't just. It is not fair to say the police are doing this, police are interfering, this and that. You see, once the police, at least the people the police have caught and successfully prosecuted. That is from this day onwards. Finish them, deal with them. Why do you want to keep on treating them and pampering
Right, so
them.
all this sounds very nice.
It's not
Mr.
nice. It's not nice.
No, it sounds easy and
It is
even
the-
realistic.
It
That's
is.
the problem.
It is.
Don't
We are,
you think-
practical.
what is
don't
the
you
problem?
think all
Tell me.
this-
Tell me. What is the problem?
What's
There is
your
a
take
traffic.
on that,
May
Mr.
I
Chairman?
interject? I agree with my friend. If you are caught with bag of drugs, he should be prosecuted and sentenced.
Hanged.
1 minute. Now, are you going to convince the court, the version of the police officers? He merely comes and says from his mouth, I caught him with a bag of drugs. Court always suspicious.
That is why I said have a jury trial with 12 jurors.
1 minute, 1 minute. There is a simple thing, no. There can be a secret cameras, no. The police officers can have. When they do the raid, then and there they can record it.
Then how
But in how
admissible
many
is it?
cases? In how many cases they produce this video recording?
Is it admissible
So that
in
if
court?
you produce that, there won't be any problem for the court to convict. Then coming back to the jury issue, with all due respect to my friend, I have to dissociate with that particular issue. Why? Before these cases are taken before a court of law, these accused have been convicted by the media. So do you expect the jury, lay jury persons to have an independent mind and independently look at the evidence that is led before a court of law to convict? So therefore, in this today's
It is a
context,
lame excuse for not having a jury trial. A very lame excuse.
I love the jury trial. That's a different
I know
matter.
he loves it,
When was
right?
the last jury trial?
That was
that
against
is-
me, I think.
Last jury trial I did the case. There was a minister, his wife and his security guards were indicted for killing the minister's fiancée and fiancee's servant lady.
So-
it was tried
This
in
is-
Colombo High Court.
This is an
2000
option which the criminals, the suspects have,
Yes.
whether they are going to be tried by a jury or by a judge.
Now
but they are preferring to be tried by a judge.
Yes.
So, is
That
the reason?
that
Because
is
when
one-
it comes to a jury trial, as President's Counsel Valley had suggested, it will be fast track. The case
Fast
will
track.
finish.
No, 1 week
Is
and
it
trial
the-
is
This
over.
is the reason why they are opting for to be tried by a judge rather than by a jury.
No, now practically if you take a jury trial, at least it will take 2 to 3 weeks. During that time, what will happen to all other cases? All other cases will be postponed. Number one. Number two, these jurors, unlike in other countries, from morning they come, in the evening they go home, they watch TV, and prior to coming here, through the social media, they have come to know exactly what has happened.
But that's not the way how juries act, no?
In other countries,
Yeah, in other countries, they don't
They-
do that.
no, they are
secluded.
confined- they are secluded.
They are confined to
the
a
hotel, and they are not
they
allowed
are-
to watch the
yes,
social
absolutely.
media.
So isn't that the same format in Sri
No,
Lanka? also?
no, they come in the bus in the morning, in the evening go home
And
by bus.
how do they pick these jurors?
There is a pool of at least 25 jurors. Most of them are public servants, maybe principals, officers in the government departments. Then they come to the
No,
court.
but what, in all fairness to Mr. Balde, what he tried to say was, we
I
have to
understand
have a
his
similar
feeling.
system in Sri Lanka just as the system in the US.
You know,
That's what he said.
Right.
in US, to select a juror, it will take sometimes days and days. Here only
It's an application process, Mr. Jayaman. I know it's how the process works.
Yes, in US.
I know a lot of people who are
In
jurors
US, I was
in
there
US.
1 year. Even to select juror, they had questioned the juror for several hours. It's a long, tedious process. But here, once the jurors are selected, just imagine they will go to the social media, through the electronic media.
That's what he said.
Shall I
We
answer
have
this
to have
question?
the
You see,
US system.
in this, it is a contempt of court under British law for the social media to give details of investigative processes. It is a contempt of court.
If you do the
Right.
same here, I agree.
That is no. I am not just telling you catch and hang these people. These are things these are the matters that the state should concentrate on. How to get these things done, not say can't do this and can't do that. These are the. I am not just saying take them and hang them. No. These are safeguards that have to be done. You must seclude the jurors, and it won't take 3 months to do a trial, right? Because we have done so many trials, and there was during the jury trial days, right? One trial was generally finished in 1 week. One trial. The next trials, all the other cases are possible. Next, for a session, at least 10 to 15 trials are concluded. I am sure Mr. Jamani will agree with that, right? Now, with these type of judge trials, the first evidence is taken by one judge. 3 months later, another judge comes and takes another evidence. 6 months later, another judge comes. Then the state council changes. The final state council doesn't know doesn't know what has happened at the beginning, and then see the plight of the State Council. He has read a brief of this side to make an address. And 2 years later, you find the judge who never heard the case give the judgment. Where is the justice in that? Tell me. The man who never saw the judge, I'm not offending the courts here. With all due respect to court, it is unfair. It is unfair for one single man to be given the task of judging the truth or falsehood in a capital offence case. It is not fair by the judge. Let it be before a jury of people, and the acceptable word is 10 to 2. The democratic process must go on. No?
Yeah,
If
so-
they say yes, then we have to go ahead with that. But it is not fair to ask a judge who has never seen a witness in his life in this particular case to give a conviction looking at a piece of paper. How can you do that? It's
So
not fair by him.
as I am,
Please, I am not saying that the judgment, I am not challenging any of the judgments that were given. But what I am telling is the practical situation.
So
Have
as-
the jury.
just for disclosure's sake, I'm today the panelists are all attorneys at law. Two of them are presence counsel. One of them is a journalist, and Niresh teaches law as well to students. So I would like to request the three panelists to take full responsibility for the statements that you're making today on the show, because as a network we will not be taking responsibility for the statements that you are making. So don't you think, Mr. Jayamana, that a fierce psychosis, as stated by Mr. Valyadha, should be there in the country, so as such that such issues or murders or organized crimes will not take place, because the fear psychosis is already embedded in the system?
Fear psychosis, for what? Fear psychosis should be there, that if I commit a crime, very likely I'll be caught, like in Japan. That is the fear psychosis one must have. Then fear psychosis must be there, when I am caught, there will be admissible evidence the investigators would find out. Because in this country, confession made to a police officer is not admissible. Confession made to any other person whilst in police custody, not admissible. So therefore, police have a very tedious task. Same principle even in India. That is the section 25 of the evidence ordinance. So therefore, you have to give more focus on the circumstantial evidence. So when you have circumstantial evidence based on technology, very likely those evidence are truthful. So that is why fear psychosis must be there.
But again, boils down to the point that Mr. Valyadha was trying to make. He said that he has appeared for perpetrators and they would choose to be shot rather than be hanged.
Alleged perpetrator.
Alleged perpetrators.
That is the mode of punishment, because they as a mode of punishment, if the execution.
No. Shot while escaping. That is one thing. Shot while escaping is now the motto. No,
shot while escaping. Because
not by firing squad.
Thing
Shot
is,
while
the
escaping.
once the judgment,
they don't mind that.
because once the judgment is delivered, he has to wait in the death queue for months. So then every day.
But capital punishment has not been meted out since 1976, 23rd of June.
See what has happened to the country? See what has happened. Now that is your statement proves what I say. See what has happened. We live in fear.
It is up to the criminologists do a scientific.
It has nothing to do with criminology. It is a practical situation.
Scientific search and
Like you said, it is fear. It is fear.
Because
they must fear the law, not
Mr.
only the
Valyadha,
arrest.
Let me ask you now, despite the best efforts of the STF, the police, the DIG Jayasundara and others like him, the situation has got worse and worse.
It is getting worse because the people have no fear of the arrest. They know that once they are arrested, they will be inside the remand and nothing would happen to them.
So where do you see this going in the next 1 year, 2 years?
I will tell you where it will go. It will come to a situation. Now I saw recently there was a fatal accident where a bus had collided with somebody, 3-wheeler, people had died, and the people set fire to the bus and he almost set fire to the driver. Then there are instances where drug addicts are found on the road and they nearly kill the people, on the main road. In fact, there was a case that came to me on those grounds, you see. What will happen is, if this goes on, the people will take the law. I won't say this melodramatic thing of people will take the law into their own hands. They will kill when they find the offender, because they know nothing else is going to happen. They will arrest them, make a big noise, make splash headlines, and then forget about it. And thereafter, nobody knows what happened. See the amount of corpses that are being found. with their throats cut, they are stabbed, shot, buried underground, paddy fields growing over them. So people take the law into their own hands in the melodramatic way. They will kill other people. They will not depend on the police. They will not depend on the courts. They will come to a situation where the courts will have no control over the people in what they are going to do. That is what is going to happen. That is why I say we live in a state of fear here.
So, DIG Jayasundara, I recollect on the 5th of February 2022 or 20, during President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's time, a firearm amnesty to hand over illegal weapons took place for a week in the country. Are you considering something of that sort now, due to the fact that
It was there.
shootings have increased significantly in the country?
It was there with the advice of the Honorable Minister and the Inspector General. Amnesty period has been given a couple of months back, and even after that, the amnesty, as you rightly said, in 2020, there were a couple of instances where the amnesty has been given and people, now they have handed over weapons. But I'm very much confident that with the continuous arrest of illegal weapons and the number of weapons that we are arresting, that the crimes will go down. But somewhat I don't agree with sir, because now we are very much confident from the police. Now I have the facts from the last shooting. If you go on for the last 10 to 20 or 100 shootings, we have arrested, and it is the fact that the society and their perception has changed from the time of 2000 or 2010. But police, I am very much confident we are in a place to arrest them at any cost. So now, but the thing is, it is with the socio-economic factors has contributed. So those things has to be addressed. But I'm very much confident the Sri Lanka police and the STF, we are in a position to curtail the crimes. And that's why I said now during the last 3 months, there were like only 3 shooting incidents in the southern province. But but the other thing is that you can repeatedly talk about this thing has happened and that thing has happened. But even from the media side, there has to be an update of the steps that we have taken back. So I see there's a gap of that, because that today there's a shooting and the next day we are reporting that this particular suspect or shooter has been arrested. Then another crime scene comes and that thing goes down. But the police of that particular area with the STFO, we kept hunting for the perpetrators. It's not like one police station, say in the Mount Lavinia police area, there's a shooting. So that particular case is intact unless and until that the OIC and the team, they are going to arrest the suspects. So then it moves to another police area. Then that police will go on with the investigation. So there's no way that you can say there were like 10 shootings and nobody has arrested. It's there, we have done our part, but it is the process that, and we have to talk about the prevention part. You get my point? Yes. Then we have to see now, majority of the people, they got a good night's sleep. It's not like, in Rio, where the police, there are areas where the police cannot reach. There are like, if you take the Rio city, you get 100 to 200 police officers killed by the drug lords. Not like the northern part of India, where the landlords, they confront with police in Bihar. So here it's that we accept from the police perspective, there is a increase of shootings, but we are behind them and we are in the process of curtailing them. And I really appreciate the input given by the senior councillors, and it's a learning process. No way that I can say we are perfect. So it's a good forum for us to get the input of them and to enhance our investigation and to give a more law-abiding and more peaceful society to the people.
Right. So,
How can the public
yeah.
contribute for this, DI Jayasundara, to curtail these crimes as members of the public?
There's a now very good system we have put up with community policing to win the hearts and minds of the people. If you take there is a system, but there are shortcomings. Now if you take, say, one police area and you get 15 to 20 GS divisions, Grama Seva. every GS division there is a community police officers, we call security committees, public security committees consisting of 25 members. And the moment that we get the support of the people, there will be less crimes. So it's like water to the fish. We have to win the hearts and minds of the with the people and their confidence. There's a saying that people are a bit scared to give information, right? Their identity will be revealed. That's wrong. There are two hotlines, 118 and 119. People can freely talk to that hotline. We never ask their telephone number, and within half an hour that information goes on. But the issue is there's a gap with the nature and the gravity of the crimes. They have taken maximum efforts, the criminals, to hide their identity. That is one challenge that we have to overcome. Other thing is, now we have to get information from the public. So community policing system is a very good system at the moment, where we get the feedback of the community, and there's a reward system. For an example, last month I have given 5 million as a reward to one informant who has given a good information on drugs, and that person's identity will never be revealed. So there's a reward fund with the police where we reward people, the public.
50 lakhs,
50 lakhs, yes. I personally gave it for an information which I got, where it was one of the biggest drug detections in the history of Sri Lanka.
What happened subsequently? What was the detection?
Actually, we arrested drugs. I can't go into more details.
No, but obviously, if it was worth 5 million, definitely
from the reward fund, we have a reward
fund.
Yeah,
but that would have definitely been in the public domain. What's this incident that we're talking about?
Actually, it was a drug detection. It is one classic example. Now, we were talking about a forum, a society, where people and the police are getting more closer. Because police consist of 85,000 people and 8,000 STF men on ground, and it's a country with 22 million. So police cannot stand everywhere, and any country it's not possible. But it's the cooperation and the co-relationship with the public and the police.
Right.
We from the police, we have to take more actions to get more confidence on us with the winning the hearts and minds of the community. And I tried to explain and prove that even people get rewarded for the information assistance that they give. We have a separate reward fund, and we reward the people for their assistance and support, because most of the successful investigations are all dependent on the successful information given by the public, because it's not possible to keep 80,000 people among 22 million people. So it's the people they are our third eye who are assisting the police for the successful.
Can't you get the involvement of the military, the security forces to this end?
They are in the process. They are helping us, especially in the southern province. When we are dominating the areas, the three forces are assisting us. So they are in touch with us.
Right. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for your thoughts. But very quickly, if Mr. Valyad and Mr. Jayaman want to conclude, I will give you 2 minutes each. Yes, Mr. Valyad.
Shall we get real? Shall we get real? Right? How this police investigation and winning the hearts and minds of the people and being, and winning the confidence of the people, all that is fine. But now they are shooting the witnesses who are giving evidence. They are shooting. Now some fellow was shot on the main road who was going to give evidence in the case. So where the hearts and the minds of the people, do you think they are going to come forward and give you any information? Unless they are thugs of the same quality. The informers are in the same gangs, no? These are people. One fellow was shot, I think, in Mount Lavinia, while you are giving, or Casbah. You are going to give evidence in a case. You are shot. You can try and get the hearts and minds of the people. We must get real in this matter, get real. Face reality without having pipe dreams. Come on. You have to destroy these people, that is all. That can be done legally. That if you don't do that, we are going to face, this nation will turn to a place of horror where no child can live. I mean, is this what we are going to, with all these hearts and minds, is this what we are going to leave to our children? A country where they can't get out, a country where they don't know when they'll be killed, murdered or anything, and a country full of drugs. Is this the legacy we are going to leave our children by being so merciful and looking after humanness and looking after these convicted murderers? Is that what we are doing? Is this what you want to give your children? Is this what you want to give your children? A country full of killers, and where the children are by the age of 14, they are drug addicts. Is that what you want? No. Get real. Get the law. Let the law work it out. The law is there. No? Why aren't you exercising the law? Finish these people who are convicted from this day onwards. Give that message to the people that if you play around anymore, you are going to get into this situation. There will be no mercy here. Otherwise, what are you leaving you think about it, what are you leaving your children? What are you leaving your children? What are you leaving your children? You are leaving a country full of terror, no?
So let's listen to what Mr. Jaiman also.
I have no issue destroying the perpetrators, but how?
Right.
You have to destroy the perpetrators according to the procedure established by law.
Exactly.
In order to destroy, you have to catch the perpetrator and find the admissible evidence that can be led in a court of law. That technique, that strategy must be inbuilt into the top investigators. As a police, as an organization, they must get together and discuss where they went wrong, and they must discuss how best they can fine-tune the investigators, and new technology like the controlled delivery. What do you mean by controlled delivery? When you drugs come in from the customs, you don't arrest the person who come and collect the drugs. You allow the drugs to go and you follow them thereafter. For that, there has to be new procedures laid down, and then you go along with the drugs and you catch the kingpin. So likewise, new methods have to be found out.
This would have been an ideal situation to get this parliamentarian who brought gold to the country, Mr. Jaiman. You should have followed him and seen who was he delivering the gold
I don't want to talk about the individual cases. So therefore, new methods have to be invented, and other countries are doing. For that, we have to have a procedure laid down in law. So my final saying is, even on the streets, when the police officers are doing trafficking, if I am driving the car, if you cut the white line, I'll be caught. But why I cut the line? Because there is a three-wheel driver who is driving, not taking the vehicle to left side. So we must tell the police officers first catch that particular three-wheel driver. So likewise, discipline must be taught to each and every driver on the road, because country is gauged from the way the motorists are driving the vehicles. So therefore, I don't say police can't do that. They can do that. Only thing is, they must reorganize. They must sit down, the hierarchy must sit down and get the expertise of other lawyers, if there are so many lawyers who are willing to help them, and they must come out with a new strategy. Otherwise, merely after committing the crime, going after arresting suspect won't do, because in most cases...
But do you think, very quickly, Mr. Ahmed, do you think, as forecasted by Mr. Walyad, the situation will be even more bleak in the future if the situation is not arrested now?
Definitely.
Do you agree with that?
Situation will be bleak. That is why I say we must get together, sit down and plan out. We can't overnight resolve this issue, but we have to identify the most dangerous areas where the crimes are happening.
Right. Thank you
We
very
have to
much.
target those things and target those individuals and organizations and sort it out.
Thank you very much. I have a lot of questions to ask the three of you. Unfortunately, the time is running out today because of the simple fact that we are telecasting a live match, and henceforth we have to restrict our time frame to 1.5 hours, and very, very unfortunately. However, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening on the show. DIG Attorney at Law Varun Jayasundara, Commandant of the Special Task Force, Mr. Tirantawal Yadda, Prisons Counsel as well as Attorney at Law, and also Mr. Saraj Jaiman, Prisons Counsel as well as Attorney at Law, for joining us this evening on Face the Nation. Thank you very much, Ravindu, Attorney at Law, Ravindu Jayakoti, for joining us this evening on the show, and Niresh Thambi, Consultant to Direct English News at Newsfirst, for joining us this evening on Face the Nation. I leave you tonight with a quote, as I always do. The clearest way to show what the rule of law means to us in everyday life is to recall what has happened when there is no rule of law. Take care and good night.
සම්බන්ධ බවට තොරතුරු මට අනාවරණය කරගන්න පුළුවන් වුණා. ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂගේ ඍජු අධීක්ෂණය